monitoring the process of aid distribution and depoliticization of aid. Resist, reject, and report corruption now. Transparency International Zimbabwe, a coalition against corruption.
It's a good morning. Welcome to Asake Online. This is the Breakfast Club and my name is Cllr. Today in our program we'll be talking about service delivery in the City of Kings, a program brought to you by Transparency International Zimbabwe. We know in the past few days there have been talk about the removal of vendors in the CBD. We also know that the city is facing serious water challenges, and we want to discuss some of these issues to find out what the city has planned. And to help us discuss these issues and many others, we have one of the city fathers, Cllr Mlandu Ncube. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Njani, for it.
Hi, maybe to start with, how has been your work since right now we have the lockdown and the COVID pandemic? How has that affected Lina as a councillor?
As into COVID and the lockdown thing has affected us big time. You know, we live in a country where people, most of them are not formally employed. Meaning to say, if you sleep at home, what brings bread and butter on your table, what pays your bills is sleeping also. So we face a challenge that people are starting to starve, and you know, people flock our offices, our homes, asking for help, for food, also even to try and negotiate their way to town so that they can try and find something to eat. Yet in town there is nothing to eat. So we are actually, as councillors, we have been the front line receivers of how the community is affected on this. So also it has also affected even our service delivery. It becomes difficult for our workforce to travel. It becomes also difficult for our workers also to execute their duties. So imagine if someone forgets a letter that clears him that he works at council, meaning to say his job will not be done on that day. And also, as I have said, it becomes very difficult for residents to take that little money that they had in their homes to go and pay their bills. Yet they don't know where they will get money to buy milli the following day. So it has affected us a lot.
Yeah, you are mentioning the issue of bills with the people who have been working, and of course we know most of the people here are vending. So if people are not paying bills, of which we are likely to see many people failing to pay their bills, how is that going to affect service delivery?
We are facing a challenge that if we don't do something that will make council receive money, we will be having a challenge in services that need money, especially all of them, such as refuse collection, provision of water, street cleaning, and almost everything. So we are in a catch-22 situation, and we still ask our residents to say, this is our Bulawai. Let's try the little that even $1 to a revenue hall, it will keep our Bulawai going. It will make us after lockdown, because no one knows when this COVID will totally be arrested. So we are still hunting an unknown enemy out, which is COVID. So we don't know when we are catching him. So let's try and bring the liquor that we have, so that after we catch this criminal called COVID, we have got Bulawai.
I mean, people would say you want us to pay, go to Alias Culture Town. There has been the issue of vendors that have been removed from their vending facilities in town on the pretext that they are going to be given alternative places. Can you briefly tell us about that program?
First of all is that during a lockdown, we did not remove anyone. The lockdown and COVID-19 is the one that chased people out of town to stay home as part of precautions. What we are doing is that we are saying to vendors, we are not banning anyone. We are relocating vendors, informal traders, to their convenient places. We are saying to an old lady who sells cabbage in Phumula, why is she coming to town to get cabbage in bulk and going back to Phumula for trading? Instead of us having farmers delivering those vegetables in bulk in western areas, bulk markets, so that this gogo will go in the morning and get that cabbage and sell in Phumula at a cheaper price. At a cheaper price, because there will be no additional transport cost. It will be closer to her and also closer to the consumer. And what we are saying is that we are going to come up with a policy in place that these bulk markets have got normal trading hours. If you remember long back, a farmer, those big markets used to open maybe around 4 a.m. and around 10 they will be closed to allow small traders, the vendors, to serve the community. So this is what this is the stage we are moving, and we are trying to create a smart city. And also remember, as a local authority, we must create a conducive environment for everyone. We have got a business community that is being affected by haphazard vending. We have got no mercy for unlicensed vendors. We only care about those who are registered, and we encourage everyone to visit our DACMO offices to register so that they can be allocated suitable bays. How do you justify someone selling clothes right in front of Edgar's? As a councillor, I'm supposed to protect Edgar's license and also make sure that this vendor has got a life. Imagine if Edgar's closes, how many people go unemployed? So we need to create that is the environment that we are creating. A conducive environment for an informal trader, a conducive environment for big businesses.
So you have highlighted a number of issues, Lapa. You're saying you're not removing vendors or chasing them, but you're relocating them. But has there been any consultation between the vendors themselves and the city council?
Actually, in Bulawayo, it is our policy. We always do monthly stakeholders meeting where vendors associations come and discuss with the council department that is under the Department of Housing, and this it's led by Mrs. Bates. There have been constantly consultations, but in a meeting when you are 10, 7 can agree, 3 refuse. But well, I've seen some sentiments from other vendors associations such as BVTA, and there are concerns that they've raised. And some of them are valid concerns. And we have said, no, since this PVTA trade most in my ward, I've said to the department, may you please look into what these people have raised. For instance, they've said they need a situation where, because when they register to vend, you put your residential address. They are looking forward to a situation where if from Cllr Park, I should be given a priority to be given a bay in Cllr Park. There are a lot of those things, and they are saying our markets where we are sending them are not yet up to standard. But I can say, as we speak today, council guys are on the ground trying to bring it up. So we are going to deal with those concerns and try to arrest them.
Yeah, so I think they mentioned the issue, and even you see ablution facilities when you're talking about COVID. So do we have toilets in these places where they're going to be relocated? You know, you've been talking in Uma Council meetings about the 6th Avenue. Yeah. I mean, it's now over a year on 6th Avenue, toilets.
Yeah.
So if the city opens today with this COVID pandemic and we still have we don't have toilets or facilities around Zandla, what's the situation like?
Actually, 99% of the areas that we are relocating vendors to, especially in the western areas, are shopping centers that has got already existing toilets and tap water. So we are returning them to old areas. We are mostly going to use those terminuses. You know, we used to have terminuses in western areas. So we are using those as vending spaces. We do have those facilities. That's why we are moving them there, because we have seen that it has been difficult for us to get toilets that can serve them in 5 Ave, in 6 Ave. So this is why we are taking them to existing facilities that need facelifts. I know we might have challenges in new areas, new suburbs, but the suburb that I know that has got such challenge is Phumula South, which is Ward 27. But we are looking into that. We will not have a problem in constructing a toilet in Phumula South. That will not take us a month. But most areas, they do have existing facilities. So we are taking them there.
So maybe still on this issue of facilities, I mean, I know the excuse now will be COVID, but the Egodini has been going on for a while. What's the plan?
Before we go to that, I want to make it very clear that vendors that are along Lopengula Street are not going to be relocated. But what we are going to do, we are putting vending structures that promote social distancing. So those ones along Lopengula Street are going to remain there, but at a more modified infrastructure. Well, Egodini issue, it's a topical issue in Bulawayo. And I can tell you that if you follow our last council meeting, it became a hot potato. Councillors were angry. We have so far demanded an update from the management and the contractor that if we receive that mandate update, we will definitely make a decision. And I can assure you, we will not have that project stopped and not going forward. We are going to make a decision that will be better for Bulawayo, that will see the construction of Egodini being speeded and being finished on time.
If you are watching us online, this is a program brought to you by Transparency International Zimbabwe. They promote anti-corruption. They always say, make sure you resist corruption, not only resist, but also report. And so if you have any questions to Cllr Mlandu, you can post your questions and we'll read them. I mean, one of the issues where we're talking about corruption, where people have been complaining in Bulawayo, saying there is a bit of corruption going on, is the issue of the public works program, where some people who are vulnerable communities or individuals are asked to or given peace jobs to clean storm drains and pick up papers. Can you give us a history of that program? How is it structured?
What transpired is that, with this informal life of Zimbabwe, we were facing challenges that people are failing to pay their bills. So then we came up with that program of outsourcing those jobs such as drain cleaning, pothole patching, slashing, grass cutting, and also the street cleaning. Because all we know that you can't just employ a cleaner in a local authority. In order for us to get a cleaner, we need clearance from the Minister of Local Government. And Bulawayo has been facing shortage of manpower as a city council. So we then said we are dangling a carrot. We are saying to people who are vulnerable but ratepayers, can you please come here and clear the drainage so that when we pay you, you can be able to pay council bills. Most of them, in that period of 3 months, they volunteer and come and say, give us a stop order. Do a stop order from what we are going to get to clear our bills. And also, we are trying our best to look after the vulnerable groups. But we must come up with a way that makes them not vulnerable permanently. Because if we put the context that people are vulnerable, you are saying you are planning to keep them vulnerable. And well, we have heard reports that there are people who are abusing that. There are people who are getting their relatives. There are people who are employing people permanently. What happens with those contracts? Mostly, especially I will use these normally they are 3 months. So we are saying, we get you 3 months, we get the other group. And how the selection is done, the selection is not done by a councillor. The councillor knows, people come, as a community, we have got community leaders, we have got section leaders, we have got ward development committees, which sits down and see, you then put Ukoko in the book. Normally, this is what we do in Ward 1, that we follow the book. We put Ukoko. But well, there are some instances that you see with Ukoko value as Dumege. Umfage 3 months, she is still suffering. You then use your discretion as community leaders that can Ukoko employ. But we don't encourage that. People should give each other opportunities. But then the crisis becomes, who says this one is suffering more than this one? And I have said, if people are saying that Mlandu is employing his relatives, because you can't say my mother is vulnerable. Well, she is suffering like anyone. But by the virtue of Mlandu is able to try and provide for myself, I should try and also get 1% from what I'm providing to my mother. I should not use my position to empower my mother. No. That is wrong. And the people should report that.
Yeah,
people should report that.
It's quite important that you're talking about reporting, because that is that's where people talk about corruption. And TIZ says if you know that there's any corruption that is going on in your area, you can call them on 0771 414 461. This is the number that you report e-corruption. I will say it again, is 0771 414 461. So if there is anyone not how Mlandu lapa ulo mama kelo siswa kele girlfriend batopa mapepa, that's the platform to use. So I mean, this program is ongoing. You can, so as long as councillor, you can employ people for the 5 years.
What I'm trying to say is that the policy on that is very clear. The councillor identifies the vulnerable groups. When the vulnerable groups are identified with their cases, especially on these ones about top paper, the cleansing superintendent of that section comes and look at the cases and case by case of the vulnerable groups. Then from those vulnerable groups, he then chooses who are more vulnerable at that given time. What Tina we do as councillors and community leaders is to identify the vulnerable, because I'm the one who knows the address number, so and so stays, who we then get it people. And then the superintendent then comes and look at case by case and then identify people. But where people have been mistaking, they've been seeing most of these people being employed, being young people, who are working on the ground, being young people. What happens is that you find that there is a job to cut grass. You can't have Ukoko 90 years cutting grass. What they no Koko do, they go in my lining and then say, Zwana mfanam, mtagamaspan, can you please go and cut grass on my behalf? That arrangement is local leaders, we don't know how they do it. So this is why people see able-bodied people doing those jobs. Most of them, they'll be doing it in the name of the vulnerable aged people.
Is it possible that council makes or publishes information about who owns which vending site and where, because we believe there are council employees that sublease land? I mean, the sublease. I mean, I think that's what he wants to say.
First of all, it's not a crime for a council employee to sublet land. I'm saying land. But vending bays are on lease basis to council. It's a crime to sublet. The people, the subletter and the subletted, you'll be committing a crime. So that is not allowed. So what happens that, as you know that we have said, we are relocating these vendors. We are doing a database. You know this technology thing started soon now. We are doing a database, who is who, and we are going to upload that on our website so that everyone gets to know. And well, when you go, the vendors are organized. When you go section by section, those people have got a chairman. They've got a structure on their own. When you get there, you can even get the register who owns what. So if there is a council personnel who is doing that, we advise our residents to just walk to council offices, come to our councillors' offices, contact us and report that. Because if you are employed, why do you need a vending bay? Because you have got a source of income. Open a space for someone to get a source of income. So that is a serious corruption and it must be dealt with.
Maybe the other issue that people would like to know is there a criteria or laid down criteria on who qualifies to be a vulnerable person? Says Kanyeli Public Works Program. Do we say what kind of a person is classified as a vulnerable person?
Normally, when it comes to council, if we go to Emakai, we've got what they call food for work. But you can work. But you can work. When we in council mostly consider when it comes to, are you able to settle your bills? Are you able to pay rates? Are you able to pay water? You find that where we closed water in January, and that person is still failing go Vulisa and up to July. The vulnerability when it comes to cancer, we look according to the way you are cycling your debts and the way you are cycling everything. That has to do with the local authority.
Okay. Yeah, maybe let's move to the other very contentious issue, is the issue of water. I mean, the city council has now increased the load shedding to 120 hours. Is there a plan to say, I mean, in the meanwhile, what plan does council have to solve this perennial water problem?
The plan is very clear at the moment. Is the sorting out of Epping Forest, and in Nyamandlovu, where we must to refurbish all boreholes. Those boreholes can sustain us. We can have water. So we wrote to government. You know, we are facing a situation where we must be declared a national disaster. I know some people have been saying it is going to have an effect on investors trying to come to Bulawayo, saying there is no water. We must not lie, there is no water. So we are asking government to do that, but it is, I don't know why they are delaying. But well, I'm told they've given us, they've promised us money to work at Nyamandlovu and the Epping Forest. But we have not received a formal report on that. We have seen it on media. So we hope if we receive that money, if the money comes, we will run and work as a matter of urgency. But well, the solution to that is that the central government should give local authorities the right to bulk water. Do you know, there are people out there that we know, it's known, that people trust local authorities because it's close to the community. They want to invest directly without going through central government. So if you give us a right to bulk water, we'll see what to do. We'll give our people water. We'll give our people water. But the problem is that we are not given that right. The only solution that the Zimbabwean government can do to us is to give us right to bulk water. And well, we have got the issue of Matebele and Zambe's water project. I think it should be returned back. We must stop nationalizing that thing. If you return it to Matebele and Zambe's water trust, it becomes easier for people to come in and pour their money because the agreements and promises will be done at local level. So I think that would be the solution. But the current solution that we need to deal with is the issue of Epping Forest and Nyamandlovu Aquifer.
So from what you are saying, talking about bulk water, you are saying the government actually owns or Zinwa owns the Nyamandlovu Aquifer.
Yes. According to the Zinwa Act, water belongs to the president. And who is president? President is the central government. So that's where we are.
Okay. Someone says there are allegations that city council employees actually are paid bribes to reconnect water, when water has been cut. We have heard that. And I think early January, we had a case where we've got the water connectors being brought to disciplinary committee, and we have not heard of the outcome because the committee where we receive the outcome is not set. We have heard that. And I'm telling you, if those people did that, we will actually set an example on them. Because water in Bulawayo is very important. And we move further to say, we must deal with the person who has been bribed and the briber. Because the briber is very cruel, that you think you must consume water for free in Bulawayo, yet you know that water is precious and is very important and it's scarce in Bulawayo. So we will set example, if they did that, if they are found guilty, we will set example ngabo and we will set example ngomuntu wangikhona that bribed them. And they will allow the police and the Anti-Corruption Commission to take action there. So from what from the start of the program, we've been discussing challenges. What does the future of Bulawayo look like?
Let me say, Bulawayo's future is bright. We have got able-bodied leadership in Bulawayo, led by none other than Umkuni. He is able, and we for the past 1 year since he got into office, he has traveled across the world. He has been to Dubai, he has been to South Africa, he has been to Germany, he has been to Kenya, meeting people who are keen to come and invest in Bulawayo. I tell you, we've got serious investors that are coming to Bulawayo. And if you check, last year we availed close to 500 stands for housing. Because what makes a city is their dwellers. So if we increase houses, we are increasing revenue to city to local authority, which then will increase also if you increase revenue, you are increasing service delivery to the people. And also this year, we have advertised for close to 3,000 housing stands, meaning to say we are going to have close to 3,000 property owners, meaning to say it's an increase to our coffers. Because what talks about the city is its coffers. So the more we have got ratepayers, the more money we have, the more service we receive.
You remember the president when he came into power in 2017? He had this issue of mega deals and groundbreaking and mega deals. You seem to be going the mega deals.
No.
Can you? No, are you not also selling us mega deals?
No, we are not. We are not. We are not selling mega deals. We are not selling mega deals. But well, what people should understand is that if those mega deals in central government are not coming live, it also affects local authorities. The problem with Zimbabwe is that local authorities have got small parameters to work. The larger part, the larger economy stake is being controlled at central government level. This is why we've been crying of devolution. Give us powers that will make us create. For instance, if we've got powers, do you know we can say, if you come and invest in Bulawayo, this is we are going to say don't pay 15% of tax, just give us 10%. For a period of 3 months. For instance, we developed a policy in Bulawayo City Council where we are saying, if you are an investor, you want to buy an industrial stand or a commercial stand, we are not going to sell it to you. We are saying that money that you have, that you want to build, you want to buy that, use it for construction. We lease that land to you. When you are up in your feet, you are producing, then you can come and we sell it to you. That's a good policy to say, don't buy this land, lease this land. Build, start working, and then when you think you're now able to buy, because most people bring their money and channel it in buying that land. When they buy that land, the money to start the project is done. So we are saying those are the ideas that we have as the city of Bulawayo. So if we are given powers, if Mambazonke releases us, we'll be fine. We'll have good policies.
Someone asked about your role in as the city council. What is your role in the Zambezi water project? Are you guys involved to make sure that Zambezi water project is actually comes to life? Because we've been talking about this Zambezi water project since 1912.
Well, in as much as we are involved, is that the Bulawayo City Council, when this project started, I think we were only involved in availing, we availed the offices for them, and we also have got our people who sit in that board. But I think in a normal situation, City Council should be involved by having shares in that project, by funding at least to a minimum amount. Maybe let's say we should actually be in a position of giving grants to that project, so that when well-wishers come, they are adding on top of the grant. But those who started the project decided to structure it that way. But I think we need to revisit the restructuring of the deal, because I think we should also have, because we do have people who are employed in council to plan ahead, to do the master plan, to say Bulawayo in 50 years it will be here. I think they should also be part of the deal to say how fast can we do it, because this thing does not involve Bulawayo. Can you imagine if we involve Victoria Falls, involve Lupani, Gusile RDC, involve Nyamandlo, Mkuza RDC, those local authorities that will benefit along the way. To me, can you imagine if Bulawayo can give a grant, Mkuza RDC give a grant on that, Gusile RDC being a rural district council, Wange local board, at least there will be a starting phase towards that project.
Yeah, someone is talking about that. Informal vendors, they looks okay on the paper because you are bringing the farmer closer to the communities. But the problem is that as council, you are not building permanent structures. You know, if you look at 5 Avenue, structures, and you guys, your party talks about smart cities. There was nothing smart about those structures. But are you going to then go to those areas that you have identified and actually build permanent, nice, smart structures?
First of all, let's all agree. We had no vendors abanengi like what happened. It only started when Dr. Amai came and addressed people Amazon. But let's flood our street and sell. Council was caught unaware. If you want to see what we call permanent structures, when you drive to 8th Avenue and Robert Mugabe, there is a corner there. You look at those vending sheds. Well, they are not up to standard, but at least there is something. And even if you go along that's Leopold Takawira extension, as if you are going to where there used to be a Red Cross thing, there are those 2 structures. Those are the structures that we are trying to improvise. We are building. As I said to you, we are putting them now in western areas. But as we speak now, because we've got vendors who are expecting to move in immediately when the lockdown is lifted, so we are putting structures that will be convenient for them to trade at the moment. But some of these places do have infrastructure. You go to Ncube, at Desert, there is that market that has got existing structures. We have got, actually, Bulawayo has got structures, but those structures were not being used because there was no policy that protected vendors. Because what made vendors to come to town is that you will see farmers being allowed to come and sell in small quantities, every corner, everywhere, even in western areas. That policy must go. We must say you are a farmer, you are selling in bulk, and you must supply from 4 o'clock to 10 a.m. Full stop. And no bulk buying during, you know, long back when we grew up, you will not walk to Macro and buy 2 kg of sugar. You needed to have a Macro card where you buy at wholesale and supply and go to Makokoba, a general dealer, and sell. But now people can just walk from Makokoba to Foto and just buy 500 grams of salt. You are killing that small trade. So we must bring policies that protect big traders and small traders. If we do that, I can tell you, actually, if you protect the vendors from farmers, they will make money that they will actually voluntarily do a proper structures. For instance, BVTA members, you know, we had an incident where one lady was met at the market, and it was easy to catch the culprit because they use the CCTV. It shows that when vendors are more organized, they can do big things. They can create smart city. This is why we are removing those funny structures, 5 Avenue, because we are doing the smart city from the smart policy document, which we know. We've seen the local government ministry say we want to create smart cities. We know they stole from the MTC smart city policy.
Undi end up, I think, maybe VT. I'm not sure whether he's who say Tonzeli Ncube citing like he's saying vendors in townships have also been clamoring decentralized service provision. For instance, licensing. People were community to town or even getting a license. Now, if PCC devolves the service, it will be thousands of vendors going to sell. So is it a disadvantage that have you decentralized, my second question, have you decentralized the licensing system?
To be honest, you know, the issue of relocating vendors from the CBD to western areas, it's built on the concept that Ndiweni, Michael from PVTA, has been fighting for. But no, why should I come from Cllr Park, Niwe office in Etakmo to pay license? So what we are doing with this relocation, we are setting up those systems that they get licensed from where they are coming from. Then actually, why should I come to town when I'm a vendor? When I'm trading on Chomolia that is done at Dunsdale? The farmer comes from Dunsdale, give me my Chomolia, I sell, and that liquor that I get, I can go and pay school fees, rather than taking to Umchova, Les Gania land. To me, I think it's going to increase numbers. And there's going to be a challenge. Now then your pricing of your product will determine your business. The way you package, the way you clean your surrounding will then say, will make us, out of 1,000 vendors, we choose to come and buy from you. What makes people manipulate consumers is that there will be few supplies. If there are 2 vendors, they tell us what they want to do, what we must get, not what they must give us.
So there is also one question that we didn't ask, or that I did ask, in the issue of water. That water is a right.
Yes.
But you guys, as city council, you keep on cutting water. Why do you? When there are court judgments that says people should not
we don't make you pay for water. Actually, people don't pay for water. People pay for things that happens for you for that water to get into your tap. Remember, we need to pump water. We pay. Electricity is not free. Electricity is not a right to local authorities. We pay for that electricity as a local authority. We are not given free chemicals. Understand? We are paying people who are so what you pay is not for that liquid thing. It's for value that is added on that liquid thing, so for it to come to your house.
But then when someone doesn't pay for that, for these other services, you then cut the liquid thing.
Yes, so if the person is able to go to Mchabe's with his drum to fetch raw water, we will not arrest him. We will not arrest him because there will be no value added there. You understand? Because remember, the person who is pumping water must be paid. And that person must feed his family. And that person must send his children to school. So this is where we're looking at. But we don't just cut water. People must know that. Normally when we cut water, you'll have defaulted for a long time. Because what council does, we send a bill. When we send a bill, say come and pay, you don't come. We send what we call a final demand. You don't come. Then what must we do? Actually, that's why you can just walk emanzini ukamanzunati ngoba katrithwanga. But lana esiwakotshoza thina echolocho kulama 5 rand esiwabhadala ukuyadonsa umgodi. What more kobulawayo? Abantu bakithi, they must learn this thing. Asitsho ukuthi when the bill has come, they're saying you owe us 300 bond. We want 300 bond. To show that you have come to revenue hall and paid even $1, we don't come and cut your water. And actually, do you know, there is nothing cheap like water in Bulawayo. Well, now since we have we increased the budget, I think a normal house should be paying something like 300 bond if you use your water smartly. We know the things sounds big, but WhatsApp bundles, they call them weekly. There is $23 bond. But we know with the way people are on social media, they spend that 23 bond a day. So a weekly, the person is paid 23 times 5 for WhatsApp and 26 for Facebook to see us as we speak now. So a weekly, how much is the person spent?
So Councillor is saying stop being on
No. I'm saying let's manage both things. Let's be on social media and pay water also.
So you're saying the money that people are spending on social media, they could take half of that. And
yes. Do you know the problem that we face is our current generation is issue of priority. Do you know in Makokoba, in Old Makwekwe, in Ncube, in Sizinda, there are few water cuts. Those old people pay their bills. They prioritize. Nisaye officini, bakhala, they phone us. Kati manje njengoba ningavala kwa municipalities zapatalanga. But go to Pumlasam, go to Mahachula, go to these new suburbs where we, the generation, are residing. We pay. They do pay, but priority. As people must learn to prioritize.
Ubutondlela is saying, let's talk about the state of the roads. Of course, I agree with him. Our state of the roads are terrible. City fathers.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But when we, how council operates, we operate according to priorities that residents give us during budget consultation. When roads become number 5, it means when you get $5, when you share that money, we must give road when you are on number 5. And also the challenge that we are facing with the roads, I have said it even in council, that you go to Uzumba has got a very nice road. But how many cars are registered in Uzumba? How many cars are paying tax, road levy with addresses from Uzumba compared to the cars that we have in Bulawayo? We should not be taking money from our estate account, from our water account, from other accounts to fund road construction. We should be getting our money from road levy. Do you know, actually it's criminal what we are doing, where we are taking money from other services to repair roads. Because roads they've got money, that is road levy, that we should be collecting as local authority. That we should be receiving from Zinara as local authority and do roads. If that is well managed, because how do you justify putting a nice road here where the sewer is flowing in houses, where there is no water? Huh? Yet people pay sewer levy and water levy.
It's the balancing act is, I think as we conclude, one of the questions is saying, or Florence in Love is saying, in this decentralization, we're taking about vendors from town to their, I nearly said rural areas, to the areas where they are staying. It's like, in these spaces, they're saying, but there are already people vending in the western suburbs. So are we not likely to see turf wars there?
There will be, but what we encourage our informal traders, that manage your own pay, that is registered in your name. Don't mind about who is going to occupy the next one. He's coming to sell tomatoes as you are selling tomatoes. As I have said, that your price of a tomato, your surroundings, your personnel will attract customers. If you can't bath, if you can't clean your tomatoes, if you are too expensive, no one will come and buy from you. But if you are affordable, smart, and a joyous fellow, people will come to you. So we need to manage that.
Okay, finally, challenges. What's the hope for Bulawayo?
As I have said, that as Bulawayo, we have got a brighter future. I can tell you this issue of the smart city clearing the streets will create employment, because we will see small businesses mushrooming. You will see these informal traders upgrading, because what makes them not upgrade from informal traders to formal traders is that they spend the liquid they get on transport. You spend all day in town. The liquid that you have got, you then go CSP, buy food. You no longer have savings. But now you are selling right opposite your house. You just jump, hey, you are saving. So we are creating policies that will make informal traders graduating from informal traders to formal traders in a city where there is no corruption. But we encourage our people that we can only achieve this goal where corruption is arrested, where double allocation of pays is picked and reported, and where subletting of pays is picked and reported, where the manipulation and abuse of these public engagement programs is picked and people are arrested and they are controlled and they are done in a good manner. I can tell you, if systems are followed in every society, the society will be greater.
Thank you very much. That was Cllr Mlandu Ncube talking to us about quite a number of issues. We talked about the issue of vending, which I think is a hot topic, because there were lots of comments, people commenting about this issue. And I hope that in the next weeks and months, we would also invite some of these people who have been relocated and find out how they are managing. But we also talked about the issue of water. And the water in Bulawayo has been an issue since the establishment of the city of Bulawayo 120 something years ago. We've always had a water problem, and we hope that our generation will find solutions to the water problem. But we also talked about service delivery, the roads. Everything seems to be going the other direction, and we hope that our city fathers are going to find solutions to this. But we know the economy is not doing well, and COVID is also playing another role. So this program was brought to you by Transparency International Zimbabwe, and they are saying report, resist and reject corruption. But for those who have witnessed corruption and they want to report, you can actually call TIZ on 0771 414 461 and report corruption. My name is Cllr. Till we meet again tomorrow, have a good day.
In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, TIZ is against corruption in the humanitarian aid distribution. TIZ calls for transparency during arrival of aid, transparency during selection of beneficiaries, transparency during distribution of aid, accountability in monitoring the process of aid distribution, and depolitization of aid. Resist, reject, and report corruption now. Transparency International Zimbabwe, a coalition against corruption.